Chosen one, stop scrolling. Something is changing around your work, your income, or your position, and you may have already felt it. Maybe someone at work suddenly started treating you differently. Maybe a conversation you expected never happened. Maybe you've been overlooked, ignored, or made to feel like your contribution doesn't matter. Or maybe nothing obvious has happened yet, but deep inside, you know something is different. That feeling may not be random, because sometimes before God changes your circumstances, He changes your ability to tolerate the circumstances you're in. And that's where many people make their biggest mistake. They panic. They quit too quickly. They accept the first opportunity out of fear. They run back to the very environment God was trying to release them from. So listen carefully. Do not make a permanent decision because of temporary fear. The season around your work may be changing, but the question isn't simply, am I losing something? The real question is, what is God making room for? Because not every closed door is rejection. Some closed doors are protection. Some delays are preparation. And sometimes the place you desperately want to keep is the very place that has become too small for who you're becoming. Think about it. There is probably a time when you prayed for stability, you got the job, you learned the system, you became dependable. People knew they could count on you. And eventually, what started as a blessing became something you were afraid to lose. You began measuring your worth by your position. Your confidence depended on your manager's approval. Your peace depended on your paycheck. Your identity became connected to being needed. But hear this clearly. Your job is a source of provision, not the source of your identity. A company can give you a title. It cannot give you your purpose. A manager can recognize your talent. It cannot create your value. And if one restructuring, rejection, or termination can make you believe your entire future has collapsed, then perhaps God is exposing something deeper. You were never supposed to build your identity on something that can change overnight. The stream may change, but the source does not. Elijah was fed by ravens in one season and by a widow in another. The method changed, but the provision didn't. Israel received manna in the wilderness, and later they ate from the harvest of the promised land. Different season, different provision, same God. So don't reject your next blessing simply because it doesn't look like the previous one. Your next opportunity might come through a conversation, a new skill, a connection, a contract, a business idea, or a position you didn't originally consider. It may even come through a door you almost ignored because it didn't look impressive enough. This is why you need discernment instead of desperation. Fear will tell you, if I lose this job, everything is over. Fear will show you imaginary disasters. It will make you picture unpaid bills, rejection, embarrassment, failure, and uncertainty. But fear speaks confidently about futures it has never seen. Fear doesn't know who is about to mention your name in the right room. Fear doesn't know what opportunity is being prepared. Fear doesn't know what skill you're about to develop. And fear certainly doesn't know what God can do with one unexpected conversation. So don't let fear become your prophet. Instead of asking, what if everything goes wrong? Ask, what if God is already working in ways I cannot see? Now there's something else you need to understand. Your next assignment may require a different version of you. You may be asking God for a new workplace while still carrying old habits into it. People-pleasing, poor boundaries, constant overworking, avoiding difficult conversations, needing everyone's approval, being afraid to say no. If you take those patterns into a new environment, you can recreate the same problem with different people. A new location doesn't automatically create a new life. Transformation begins inside you. Maybe God isn't only changing your job, maybe He's changing your standards. Maybe you've tolerated disrespect because you were afraid of losing income. Maybe you've called exhaustion commitment. Maybe you've called anxiety ambition. Maybe you've accepted crumbs because you convinced yourself that being grateful meant accepting anything. Gratitude does not require self-destruction. Humility does not mean erasing yourself. You can be grateful for an opportunity and still recognize when an environment is no longer healthy for your assignment. You can honor your employer without worshiping your position. You can serve others without becoming enslaved to their expectations. And you can walk away from something without becoming bitter about what happened there. But be careful. Not every difficult workplace is a sign that you should leave. Sometimes difficulty is development. Sometimes God is strengthening your character through responsibility. Sometimes the assignment is uncomfortable because you're growing. So don't ask only, is this hard? Ask, what is this hardship producing in me? Is it producing wisdom, discipline, courage, patience, and leadership? Or is it continually destroying your peace, integrity, and sense of dignity? There is a difference between refinement and destruction. You need wisdom to know the difference. And while you're waiting for clarity, prepare. This is where faith becomes practical. Update your resume, strengthen your skills, organize your finances, build your network, practice communicating, prepare for the interview. Learn what you've been postponing. Make the phone call. Submit the application. Have the conversation. Prayer is powerful, but prayer is not an excuse for preparation. Noah didn't just believe rain was coming. He built while the sky still looked unchanged. That's the kind of faith you need in this season. Don't prepare because you're terrified. Prepare because you expect God to use you. There's a difference. Desperation says, I need this opportunity to prove I'm valuable. Expectation says, my value is already secure, so I'm preparing to steward what comes next. One makes you frantic, the other makes you focused. And here's the part many people miss. You may not actually be afraid of failing, you may be afraid of succeeding, because success means responsibility. It means you can no longer hide behind the excuse that nobody gave you a chance. If God gives you influence, you'll have to steward it. If He gives you visibility, you'll have to handle criticism. If He gives you increase, you'll have to manage it wisely. If He gives you authority, you'll have to stop waiting for everyone's permission. The new season may demand more from you than the old one did. More discipline, more courage, more boundaries, more emotional maturity. And eventually, you may have to stop telling the story of how nobody recognized you. Because there comes a moment when you have to stop proving that you were overlooked and start stewarding what God has placed in your hands. You don't need everyone to understand your transition. Some people benefited from the version of you that had no boundaries. When you begin saying no, they may call you selfish. When you stop overextending yourself, they may say you've changed. They're right. You are changing. And not everyone is supposed to follow you into the next season. Jesus withdrew from crowds even when people still wanted access to Him. He understood something many people never learn. You can love people without being controlled by their expectations. So release the need to make everyone comfortable with your obedience. You don't need a complete map. Sometimes God gives you enough light for the next step. That's enough. Take the next honest step, not 10 steps, not the entire 5-year plan, the next one. And when the new opportunity comes, Don't carry the bitterness of the old environment into it. Learn from the betrayal. Learn from the disappointment. Learn from being overlooked. But don't build your identity around being wounded. Your next environment deserves the healed version of you, not the version that is still trying to punish the past. Ask God for discernment without suspicion, boundaries without hardness, confidence without pride, and ambition without self-destruction. Because your next assignment isn't just supposed to increase your income. It's supposed to increase your capacity, your ability to lead, your ability to serve, your ability to create, and your ability to live with integrity. And now, I want you to declare this. I release my dependence on titles, approval, and familiar places. I release the fear that one closed door means my future is closed. I trust God to guide my steps, strengthen my hands, and lead me toward the work aligned with my gifts and character. I will prepare without panic. I will move without manipulation. I will wait without losing hope. I will not confuse delay with denial. I will not confuse discomfort with destruction. I am becoming ready for what I have been called to carry. Chosen one, your circumstances may not have changed yet, but something inside you has. And sometimes that is the first evidence that the season is already turning. You are no longer satisfied with what once trapped you. You're no longer willing to sacrifice your peace just to remain familiar. You are beginning to understand that being needed is not the same as being called. And that realization may be the beginning of your next assignment. So if you believe you're ready, write in the comments, I am ready for my next assignment. Don't write it for the algorithm. Write it as a declaration. And if this message found you at exactly the moment you needed it, send it to someone who is afraid of a sudden change at work. Because sometimes one message, one reminder, one moment of faith is enough to stop someone from walking back into the door God is trying to close.